Some of you may have been following the news lately about the whole cancellation of Dr. Seuss. Now they're going after him and this cancel culture we're living in right now. It's insane. Like I've heard they're actually going to go after Curious George next. And oh my god, there's so many they could go after just for stupid stuff. Like they're seeing racial undertones in everything now. And even if you do, what's if you ban something, people are just going to go out and read it anyway, like they did with Huckleberry Finn, like they did with, Gone with the Wind, all the stuff, Uncle Tom's Cabin. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can find somebody that'll be offended by pretty much anything in any book. They'll just find a reason. They'll just find a reason to go after it. And seeing this stuff on the news just like really got me kind of thinking, is this where we are right now? Like, really? After all this time, it's like we're regressing. The liberals want to, the far left people want to, tout progression, but we're actually regressing because we're trying to wipe the slate clean, like wipe out history. We're destroying monuments, and we're rewriting the history books to fit a particular narrative when that's not the truth. If you forget, if you just like rewrite history and then you'll forget everything that happened and you're pretty much doomed to repeat everything that happened, which is what Gina Carano, she wasn't trying to put down Jewish people. She was just saying that the media, the government, people in power want us at each other's throats so that they can control us. And it doesn't matter which side you're on. They want you fighting each other because it'll benefit them ultimately. I just wanted to read a passage. Well, it's not really from the book itself. It's an author's note. He calls it the coda at the end of Fahrenheit 451, which is a really good book, a must read. I'd recommend it to everybody. I'm going to say that about all these books. But yeah, this is one of the most important books I've ever read. It's about censorship. It's about book burning, because this book is set in a future where the firemen are actually the ones who set the fires. They're they're tasked by the government to find people who have books and burn them. Burn the books and the houses of the books that they're in. The system was simple. Everyone understood it. Books were for burning, along with the houses in which they were hidden. The main character is a fireman whose job it is to start the fires, and he enjoys it. He had been a fireman for 10 years, and he had never questioned the pleasure of the midnight runs or the joy of watching pages consumed by flames. Never questioned anything until he met a 17-year-old girl who told him of a past when people were not afraid. This book was written in 1953, by the way. It's scary to think, that we might come to this someday. Then he met a professor who told him of a future in which people could think. See, the people he meets who are like a resistance, they're protecting, preserving our literature. Since they can't protect the hard copies anymore because they're all being burned, they're remembering them. They're memorizing all the lines of Shakespeare and everything. It just goes to show you, you can't erase everything, no matter how hard you try. People will fight back. They will resist somehow. The coda reads, about 2 years ago, a letter, this is a letter from the author. He's just telling his experiences after publishing the book and other books, like the responses he got and how it kind of upset him, because it's like, did you not get the point of this book? About 2 years ago, a letter arrived from a solemn young Vassar lady, telling me how much she enjoyed reading my experiment in space mythology, the Martian Chronicles. That's one of them I mentioned. It's about like what would happen if people actually did colonize Mars and there were other species living there. Like how would we assimilate? You know, it's a very interesting book. But she added, wouldn't it be a good idea, this late in time, to rewrite the book, inserting more women's characters and roles? A few years before that, I got a certain amount of mail concerning the same Martian book, complaining that the blacks in the book were Uncle Tom's, and why didn't I do them over? Along about then came a note from a southern white suggesting that I was prejudiced in favor of the blacks and the entire story should be dropped. See, there's two different interpretations of the same book. But yeah, he's got a kowtow to both of them. 2 weeks ago, my mountain of mail delivered forth a pipsqueak mouse of a letter from a well-known publishing house that wanted to reprint my story, The Foghorn, in a high school reader. In my story, I had described a lighthouse as having, late at night, an illumination coming from it that was a god light. Looking up at it from the viewpoint of any sea creature, one would have felt that one was in the presence. The editors had deleted God light and in the presence. See, people were offended by even using the word God or... Some 5 years back, the editors of yet another anthology for school readers put together a volume with some 400, count them, 400 short stories in it. How do you cram 400 short stories by Twain, Irving, Poe, Maupassant, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and Bierce into one book? Simplicity itself. Skin, debone, demarrow, scarify, melt, render down, and destroy. Every adjective that counted, every verb that moved, every metaphor that weighed more than a mosquito. Out. Every simile that would have made a sub-moron's mouth twitch. Gone. Any aside that explained the two-bit philosophy of a first-rate writer. Lost. Every story, slenderized, starved, blue-penciled, bleached, and bled white, resembled every other story. So that's what you get when you start censoring everything. Everything reads the same. Twain read like Poe, read like Shakespeare, read like Dostoevsky, read like, in the finale, Edgar Guest. Every word of more than 3 syllables had been razored. Every image that demanded so much as one instant's attention, shot dead. Do you begin to get the damned and incredible picture? How did I react to all the above? By firing the whole lot. By sending rejection slips to each and every one. By ticketing the assembly of idiots to the far reaches of hell. The point is obvious. There is more than one way to burn a book, and the world is full of people running about with lit matches. Every minority, be it Baptist, Unitarian, Irish, Italian, Octogenarian, Zen Buddhist, Zionist, Seventh-day Adventist, Women's Lib, you get the picture, feels it has the right, the will, the duty to douse the kerosene, light the fuse. Every dimwit editor who sees himself as a source of all dreary blancmange, plain porridge, unleavened literature, licks his guillotine and eyes the neck of any author who dares to speak above a whisper or write above a nursery rhyme. That's what they thought Dr. Seuss was doing, writing above a nursery rhyme, when all he was doing was writing nursery rhymes. Fire Captain Beatty, in my novel Fahrenheit 451, described how the books were burned, first by minorities, each ripping a page or a paragraph from this book. Then that, until the day came when the books were empty and the mines shut and the libraries closed forever. That's where we're headed towards. Shut the door, they're coming through the window. Shut the window, they're coming through the door, are the words to an old song. They fit my lifestyle with newly arriving butcher censors every month. Yeah. Only 6 weeks ago, I discovered that over the years, some cubbyhole editors at Ballantine Books, fearful of contaminating the young, that's what they're afraid of. And the young are going to realize this is happening and wonder why, so they're going to go out and find these books anyway, so what the fuck are you doing? These Ballantine Books editors had censored some 75 separate sections from the novel. Students reading the novel, which, after all, deals with censorship and book burning in the future, wrote to tell me of this exquisite irony. A book on censorship is being censored. That is fucking irony. Judy Lynn Del Rey, one of the new Ballantine editors, is having the entire book reset and republished this summer with all the dams and hells back in place. A final test for old Job's second here. I sent a play, Leviathan 99, off to a university theater a month ago. My play is based on the Moby Dick mythology, dedicated to Melville, and concerns a rocket crew and a blind space captain who venture forth to encounter a great white comet and destroy the destroyer. My drama premieres as an opera in Paris this autumn. This was written just a few years ago. I want to say 10, 12 years ago. But for now, the university wrote back that they hardly dared do my play. It had no women in it. It had no women in it. And the ERA ladies on campus would descend with ball bats if the drama department even tried. Grinding my bicuspids into powder, I suggested that would mean from now on no more productions of Boys in the Band, no women, or The Women, no men, or Counting Heads, male and female, a good lot of Shakespeare would never, ever be seen again. Especially if you count lines and find that all the good stuff went to the males. See, they're going to be coming after The Merchant of Venice and a lot of his other plays soon, I'm sure. I think my point has been made.